Hello, this is Ryan Warnowski. I am a senior journalism graphics major, and right now we're going to go over my quarter presentation for the ICOM 495 capstone. So let's get started. To begin, we're going to look at the project and what it is I am trying to accomplish and build for this class. So the purpose of my project is to help the millennial generation build confidence when conducting academic research. To achieve this, I plan on creating a WordPress website that fully utilizes the plugin BuddyPress. And what that's going to allow me to do is to add all that social features so we can have users talking back and forward with each other. And we can also add features where people can comment, like, share, and that's kind of features that we can use to build confidence. And the goal of the project is to reach out to undergraduates at Ball State University who, like myself, struggle with research and getting started on large projects. So how did I get to this project and how did I get to this point? Really started when I was looking for a scope and doing some research. So one thing that kind of has always bugged me is that this idea that millennials we've grown up with technology and there's just this assumption that we're great at using computers, especially for research and just, we know it's like our second language. So made this term in 1991, and he also came up with the term as a digital immigrant, which would be the older generations. But unfortunately, it's just not a true representation of the millennials and their use of technology. 84% of undergraduates report that the most difficult step in the course-related research process was just getting started. And I can attest to this completely in my honors class where I had the Research Utopian Societies. I had to pick a society and write a 10-page paper, single-page paper, from scratch and just using tons and tons of primary sources. And I had no idea where to get started. So after a week of baffling on my own, I went to the professor for some help, and that really pushed me forward. And that really got me thinking on how I can make an environment for students where we don't necessarily need to go right to a professor, we can help out each other. So to solve this problem that exists, it is imperative to understand how millennials are using the internet and tools provided in a Web 2.0 landscape. College students need an environment where they can access each other's knowledge to improve not only the quality of their research and critical thinking, but also improve their confidence in the research that they are finding. The audience for this project is going to be mainly undergraduates at Ball State University. I am targeting a couple of classes. Those classes are listed below. The reason I'm targeting this audience, obviously, is that it's a millennial population that is constantly faced with scholastic research. And I'm want to start with a small group of students, but then hopefully, if the idea is working out, I can expand. The classes I've listed are Honors 201, Honors 202, Honors 203, and Honors 397. I have been in contact with some of the professors and seeing how I can implement the project into their classes once we reach that point. Hopefully there might be other classes that are outside the Honors College, but seeing as this is also dueling as my honors thesis, I think it'd be smart to go into honors classes, especially some of the higher level ones that require that upper level research. So after I honed in on the scope and the audience, it was time to think of some usability goals for the project. The first usability goal I decided on was to effectively find, develop, and research ideas amongst students. So the reason that we're using these power words is like effectively, create, efficiently, and build confidence from a satisfactory experience. We're really trying to hit home. If we succeed these three things, the site will be successful. So we need to make sure that students can easily and most efficiently find, develop, and research their ideas amongst other students. They need an environment where they can easily communicate back and forth with one another without being interrupted. And they need to provide satisfactory experience that builds their confidence. So these three usability goals are hitting on what really the scope is kind of saying that's the problem is, and it's also highlighting where the audience, like what my audience is from my research. This is how I can make them happy with these goals in this project. So using these goals, we're able to develop some requirements. So these are an initial set of requirements that I developed from analyzing 10 websites. So the first requirement is collaborative spaces that individuals can use to invite people to share ideas and brainstorm. So I got a lot of these ideas from many of the note card taking sites, even Spark Notes. I mean, you can have all these different notes and share them and make classes, but really what the whole point of that is that you have a collaborative space that you can invite your classmates into and they can come and add to your ideas. So really kind of taking that knowledge and pushing it forward. One of the big requirements for this is that it's going to be a responsive site to be viewed on multiple platforms. The reason responsive is huge for this website is that most millennials are mobile users, mobile tablet users. So creating that experience on both web and mobile and even tablet is very crucial to the project. Another requirement is a multi-person blog, one that allows for various media in each post. So definitely seen in Spark Notes where you could have a person submit for a story, a video or an audio log or even just text summaries, just providing different avenues for a different type of learner. So having that ability to post in video, to post in audio is big for the requirements list. Creating multiple spaces that are both public and private. This is also very important because if I just had a general question and I wanted to launch it out to anyone, that's something I can do in a public space, whereas if I have a class or if I have a question that's specific to the class, then a private locked classroom would also be very beneficial. A notification tool that informs users when a question is posed. So I need to know immediately if I've asked a question, if I get an answer. I shouldn't be waiting around all day just to see if someone finally responded to my question. I want to have the app tell me when someone has answered and if I can help them back and answer a question for them. Separate chat and posting tools. So one of the issues I found in some of the better web apps is that the collaborative space would be fully integrated with the communicating space. So if I just wanted to ask a question, that's awesome for collaborative space and I can kind of fill out that. But if I just had a personal side chat that I didn't want necessarily published to everyone or even in the class, it's nice to have a side chat area. The last couple of things were simple and easy navigation, which is a requirement for most websites, and then a comment rating system, and the big idea behind that was building confidence. So moving on, we go into our prototypes. We have prototype X, which was built on the idea that this is an information consumer. Prototype Y, which is based on a consumer of media. And prototype Z, which was focused on the individual. So if we go back to prototype X, you can kind of see how we're following the standards of most websites. Everything's kind of set in their own boxes and content. This is very traditional. Prototype Y blows up each form of media. On prototype Z, immediately brings to your attention if you've had something answered, if someone responds, and that's right in your face. So the results I've kind of seen are pretty what I expected. Most people were gravitated to prototype X or prototype Z. For navigation, they just found prototype X to be following many standards, while they enjoyed prototype Z for showing them immediately what's coming to their face. Another aspect would be the creating multiple spaces for public and private. Again, X kind of succeeded in this matter, that it was very separated and very content oriented, so people could identify that very quickly. In creating a multi-person blog, again, what was nice about prototype Y is that prototype Z explained each, or it brought the individual to it. And that's kind of what we're seeing in the final results, is that a mix between prototype Z and prototype X would be most effective because prototype Z brings the individual to the forefront, while prototype X has a structure that's very well known. So moving forward, it's going to be a combination of those two aspects. This has been my quarter report, and I look forward to moving on in the project.